It may not be the Vita's most important game for 2012, but Black Ops Declassified certainly ranks near the top thanks to the power of the Call of Duty brand to move systems. Yet while the Vita should be more than capable of delivering an experience in the same ballpark as the console versions, Black Ops Declassified can't even squeeze through the turnstiles. What we have here is a sloppy, stripped-down shooter that should have remained confidential.
We're ready to fly.
Victor General, case number 290184, January 8, 1990.
While the console and computer versions of Call of Duty are known for their Hollywood-style action scenes and over-the-top plot lines, Black Ops Declassified forgoes a cohesive narrative in favor of bite-sized missions set in different parts of the globe. You'll control such surly characters as Frank Woods and Alex Mason from the mainline games in the series, but there are no cinematic cutscenes and no main antagonist. Beyond what goes down as you complete each mission's basic objective, there isn't much story here to sink your teeth into.
All clear. First group secure.
The developers clearly focused most of their efforts on the multiplayer component for Declassified. Those expecting a single-player campaign in the same vein as Black Ops or its sequel will be disappointed, as Declassified only offers 10 missions that can be completed within 5 minutes. While the developers attempted some diversity in the objectives you'll complete, the brunt of the action involves moving from one rusty, dingy, or snowy location to another, firing at enemies that pop up from behind cover or stream single file into areas like ants at a picnic. This is normally an issue with the series as a whole, but here, the problems are exacerbated. Environments are much more compact, so there's less room to move, and enemies act as if they're unsure of what they should be doing. In addition to the main campaign, which can be completed within an hour, you can play a series of 5 time trial courses. The developers took the most insignificant part of a Call of Duty game, the opening training sequence, and turned it into a mode. Apparently they thought that racing through the levels as quickly as possible, shooting at enemy pop-up cardboard targets along the way, was something that players were clamoring for. There's also a 5-level survival mode that has you battling waves of enemies until you die, mostly of boredom. The Horde-style Hostiles mode would have been far more acceptable if 1. There was co-op support, and 2. An AI that could put up a semblance of a fight. Enemy soldiers walk toward you even as you fire at them, presumably hoping that you'll be so awed by their stupidity that they'll be able to shoot you point blank in the face. It's a shame the developers didn't include a bona fide zombie mode because they got the shambling, aimless enemies down pat. Of course, the heart of any Call of Duty game is its multiplayer, so while the single-player content is disappointing, it's not a make-or-break issue, right? Well, the multiplayer is just as frustrating. Connection issues have you waiting to load a map and join a game, only to get booted back to the menu screen after the loading is complete. When you finally do get in, you'll discover players being dropped and added faster than courses at the beginning of a college semester. There are also strange glitches. Bodies of your opponents stay on the ground, even after respawn, so you'll find a number of players going prone to hide among the corpses. Spawn camping is alive and well thanks to the small environments, which only support a maximum of 8 players, and though the basics of Call of Duty multiplayer are included, from weapon-specific achievements and leveling to the ability to save custom classes, the scope is significantly scaled back. There are only 12 perks, 7 kill streak options, and 9 attachment choices for primary weapons. Like everything else in Declassified, the nuts and bolts are inferior to its console and computer counterparts. Movement feels like you're gliding across ice, and aiming is challenging due to the analog stick's sensitivity. The end result is gameplay that feels much looser than the tight precision offered by previous Call of Duty games. Since this is a Vita game, there's the obligatory touchscreen support, which in Declassified involves tapping the screen to throw grenades, use the knife, or activate a kill streak bonus during multiplayer matches. It's awkward and doesn't add anything beneficial to the gameplay, and there's no way to deactivate it for a more traditional scheme. In fact, you can't edit any of the button's functions, though there's a southpaw option for lefties. Aside from the aiming sensitivity and use of the touchscreen, the controls are functional and would be adequate if the rest of the game weren't so slapdash. The poor enemy AI and short single-player levels means the game is best enjoyed online, but even that has been bungled to the point of frustration.
Good work, gentlemen.
This may come as a complete shock, but Declassified's presentation doesn't come close to realizing the handheld's potential. The murkiness of some environments makes it hard to pick out targets at times. The animation is comically simplistic, with enemies flying back when shot, and gunfire that sounds more like popcorn popping than shooting.
On July 19th, 1979, as KGB-supported Sandinista forces entered Managua.
If there's anything positive about Declassified, it's that it makes you realize that a quality Call of Duty game would do exceptionally well on the platform, as its run-and-gun action and quick-paced multiplayer matches are perfectly tailored for a handheld system. Of course, it also makes you realize that this is not that game. It feels like Activision rubber-stamped this empty shell of a game to make a quick buck. The Vita deserves better. You deserve better.
Mason, you're gonna give me a fucking heart attack.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.